The inflation rate in New Zealand, as a result of pretty much all the factors that I just cited, along with some statistical changes from the Statistics New Zealand organisation, has proved to be higher than expected. Well, hello again, everybody. Things have certainly been fairly turbulent over the past few months in the financial markets all around the world, and the outcome here for New Zealand is that the cost to banks lending to you and I at fixed interest rates have risen by about 0.5% from where they were exactly a month ago. Now, that isn't actually something which was being sought by our Reserve Bank. We had about 2 months ago the Reserve Bank governor saying he's reasonably happy with where things are sitting, with the extra tightening that the markets have factored in for New Zealand. So you could actually say that interest rates in New Zealand have probably gone a little bit higher than what the Reserve Bank is wanting them to go, certainly when it comes to the wholesale markets. Why have interest rates jumped up quite so much over the past 1 to 3 months? Well, one of the key reasons is most recently we saw a big irresponsible easing of fiscal policy, government spending, tax cuts in the United Kingdom. That just spooked everybody that the new Chancellor and the Prime Minister could pretty much throw fiscal rectitude out the window. And so we saw a big increase in UK interest rates, which spread around the world. We've also seen the inflation numbers in the United States not shooting upward again, but not coming down, not sort of as quickly as people were hoping for, basically. And so the feeling very much there is that maybe the Federal Reserve has to take their interest rates up to a funds rate there, their main overnight interest rate of about 5%. And that's influenced the US dollar. It goes up. Other currencies like the Kiwi dollar come down, and so we get a little bit of extra inflation in New Zealand as a result of import prices rising. So that's some extra upward pressure on the interest rates here. Also, the decision by OPEC to cut daily oil production or supply by 2 million barrels a day, not expected, pretty unwelcome, and so some extra mild upward pressure on international energy prices there. Also, if we look back here in New Zealand, the labour market is holding up pretty well. When we look at businesses' intentions of hiring people, they are still basically pretty strong out there. So that's one of the things the Reserve Bank is going to be keeping quite a close eye on, and especially indications of wages movement. So look, a lot of water to go under the bridge yet with regards to monetary policy in New Zealand, and maybe a key thing to keep in mind here is something which usually we economists remember to say once we see interest rates going up. Every single tightening cycle that a central bank does is completely experimental. You know that a few years will have passed from the previous time that you did it, and things have changed. The labour markets have changed, people's attitudes towards interest rates, their sensitivity, all these things have changed. So it's always a wee bit experimental. Hence, let me just say, anyone who sort of took what I was saying on board 18 or so months ago and locked in for 5 years at 2.99 or 3.2% really doesn't have to worry about things at the moment. But for other people who are rolling on to these much higher interest rates, there's nothing you can do to basically prevent yourself paying the higher interest rate at the moment. But just keep an eye on where things are going, because the more that central banks do at the moment, explicitly aimed at crunching their economies to get inflation down, well, the greater will be the speed of decline in interest rates somewhere down the track, because there's really only one thing we can all know for sure as a result of the central bank tightening. They will eventually win. It's really just a matter of how high interest rates need to go. So certainly a bit higher than I was initially thinking 6-12 months ago, but hopefully not too much further from what the Reserve Bank has indicated in its most recent statements there, with the cash rate for maybe 4.25%. We'll see. Hopefully we don't get some new rogue policy being announced overseas, which will disturb the international financial markets again. This is just a quick update on what I've just said in light of what people like myself have learnt. The inflation number for New Zealand didn't fall from 7.3% down to 6.5% as we expected. In fact, it pretty much didn't change at all, 7.3% down to 7.2%. The inflation rate in New Zealand, as a result of pretty much all the factors that I just cited, along with some statistical changes from the Statistics New Zealand organisation, has proved to be higher than expected. This pretty much locks in an expectation on the part of banks that the big increase in their borrowing costs in recent times will be sustained. And it means maybe the interest rates go higher than we were previously previously thinking, well, there's pretty much no maybe about it. It doesn't change, I think, the profile of interest rates getting crunched up the extra amount in the short term, but still falling away again towards the latter part of 2023. But it does mean that we're likely to see a round of fixed mortgage interest rate increases in the very near future. So definitely a surprising outcome, higher than expected for the inflation number, but I'd pretty much already run through all the factors contributing to it, and there have been more as well in the previous part of this. So this is just an addendum. You should expect to see a round of increases from the banks coming along fairly soon. All the best.